First of all, what is with the posters for this movie? Seriously. The official poster's complete ass. This fan poster, pretty sweet. It's a little busy, sure, but I can completely see that being like a steelbook case or something. The most interesting official poster they have is Spider-Man's face with stickers on it. Someone needs to step up their game. Anyhow, on to the spoiler video. So Spider-Man Far From Home is here, it's out. Now I'm gonna talk about Spider-Man Far From Home to that spoiler degree, because this is my Spider-Man Far From Home spoiler talk. People said I should talk with my hands behind my back. I'm gonna try that for a second. If you haven't seen Spider-Man Far From Home yet, I suggest you maybe not watch this video unless you don't care, in which case, hey, go ahead and watch the video. But that's my spoiler warning, you've been warned. This feels weird, I'm gonna stop. The hand motions bother you. Hey, welcome. You must be new here. Also, please remember these spoiler talk videos, it's not a play-by-play of the entire movie. Just gonna talk about some things I couldn't talk about before. Probably a little more so in this one, maybe. I don't know. I'm just gonna ramble. We're gonna see what happens. Point is, there are spoilers in here. So now that you've had your spoiler warning, I can completely say, so that Incredibles remake, that was pretty sweet, right? Right when the movie started out, that Columbia Pictures logo, it turned into a statue. Come on, that's Indiana Jones, right? That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, that's an Indiana Jones move. How the Paramount Mountain becomes a mountain in the real world. But this one's the Columbia Pictures statue, and it becomes a statue. Inspiration or ripping off. I don't know. I like how, in a funny way, this movie addresses the snap, or they call it the blip, because a lot of people didn't know a snap made it happen. All they know is people were blipped out of existence. So yeah, you know how it's like, what is all of Peter Parker's classmates? They all get snapped away? I guess they did, yeah. But yeah, they just kind of addressed that. Also addressed how people come back. It's like, did they come back exactly where they were? Yeah, they did. Yeah, so Quentin Beck, Mysterio, Jake Gyllenhaal, he's like, all right, there are these elementals and they destroyed my world. Now I gotta save your world. And Into the Spider-Verse brought up the multiverse. People were like, oh, is this Sony's way of working with Marvel? Is the Sony universe a different universe? It made sense, I thought that. Yeah, he's lying his ass off so we can get the sunglasses from Peter Parker that Tony Stark left him, which are pretty sweet looking sunglasses. That are basically Google Glass, but more fashionable and a lot better. Anyhow, I want them. But this whole thing, he just gets Peter Parker to trust him enough, or Peter Parker hands him over and he's like, all right, I like that scene, because they're in the bar after they've done all the great battles and they're sitting there with their costumes on, but not their masks. And I remember being like, is this really a smart idea? Does Peter Parker not have a problem with this? But when Peter Parker gives him the glasses and walks away, you see the hologram starts dissipating. It's a pretty plain ass building. He's like, oh, was that so hard? Did someone get this costume off of me? All right, cheers. So they start making cheers and they're all pumped that they just basically, Quentin Beck just pulled one over on everyone. Is Quentin Beck even his name? Was it too obvious though? Like going into the screening, we're talking they bagged our cell phones. I haven't had that happen in a Seattle screening. A couple times in Los Angeles, not Seattle. So we were all like, holy shit, what's in this movie? Is it not obvious that Mysterio's just playing everyone? I don't know. Something's coming. And I don't think it's actually the Mysterio thing. I think it's the mid-credit scene. Who are we kidding? That's the reason they were like, look, you can deconstruct the villain all you want, but man, no one can know what's coming in the end credits. Talk about it later. But I'm just saying. It seemed pretty obvious though, right? Like, yeah, of course Mysterio's bad, because Mysterio's bad. Give that one up to the trailers though. It's just everything lined up to be like, all right, Edge of Spider-Verse brought in multiverse, which means this might be connected with that. It makes it feel alive, and you have two different studios, and all right, a multiverse is totally gonna play into it. And nope. They use the real world and real studio logistics in the eyes of the fans and the moviegoers to validate the illusion that the character the villain was creating in this movie. It's pretty smart. Funny enough, now that you find out like Mysterio is a holographic projection himself, it's not like Quentin Beck is flying around. He's in a mocap suit somewhere else, which means that's the most accurate villain costume ever. You know, Gyllenhaal's like, all right, mocap suit. What's the outfit gonna look like? They're like, that is the outfit. That's your villain outfit, a mocap suit, because the villain in the movie is using a mocap suit. I will say when Quentin Beck was just basically vomiting exposition and motivation, it worked. You know, when villains usually do that, it's usually like, all right, the hero's gonna die. Now, Mr. Bond, I will tell you my plan. And you're usually left with that feeling like, why do villains always spill the beans like that to the hero? It doesn't make sense. But this one, like a group of villainous assholes giving cheers and props to their main scheme after they feel like they've won, that totally makes sense. Like, cheers to you because you did this, this, this. Cheers to you because you did that, that, that. And I was like, in terms of word vomiting motivation, this is a scenario that just worked for me. I'd be doing that, but you wouldn't be gloating if you just pulled one over on Peter Parker, the one Tony Stark felt he should leave his shit to, or really sweet pair of glasses. Just pulled one over on him. You feel like you just boned over Tony Stark. I'd be giving props. And I did like how it tied into other ones. You see Captain America Civil War when he has that holographic room and you see Tony Stark's past. He calls it barf. And you see Gyllenhaal in the background. He's the one who made that. It's like, with Mysterio coming into this universe, I should have looked back. It's like, all right, what's the tech that exists? And rather than having a theory like, oh, I think he's screwing everyone over because, you know, he's Mysterio. That's what Mysterio does. I should have looked at the tech in Captain America Civil War and been like, oh yeah, that the tech Mysterio would be using already exists. I feel like it's going to link to that somehow, which I can't go back in time. Can't do it now. So I'm going to say, hey, the tech that Mysterio was using, which was also what Tony Stark called barf in Captain America Civil War, Chameleon could be using that later. Chameleon could make himself look like anyone because Mysterio tech / barf, that's what it did. But I did like how it tied into other MCU movies, Civil War, and that one dude that Obadiah Stane yelled at, like, Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps. That dude's like, well, fuck you, I'm gonna work with Quentin Beck. That's neat. Which I think that's the MCU, or at least the Spider-Man world, they're like, all right, I think we found how to make the good villains. Make them the working man, the relatable ones who were screwed over by the man. Adrian Toomes, Quentin Beck, and everyone he was working with. All right, that's now the formula. I don't know, Vulture, Mysterio, Adrian Toomes, Quentin Beck, I like them. I like them a lot because they're not some dark elf from over here or some god from over there. They're not a titan, although, all right, no disrespect to Thanos. Thanos is the man. I'm just saying these guys are very down to earth. They're just like disgruntled ex-employees, really. We can all get behind that. We all understand that. If you don't understand that yet, you will. I really like what Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home have done with the villains. They take the villain and they just go one step further with the theme of the villain. Like Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming, he made tech, he made weapons. Could have just left it at that, but he was a scavenger. He scrounged for the parts for the weapons. He was a scavenger like a vulture is. Mysterio in Spider-Man Far From Home could have just used illusions to pull off crime. But since he's a master of illusion, we'll make his entire backstory one big illusion, one big bullshit story. They just go one step further with the theme of these villains. I really dig that. I really like the Mysterio illusion sequences because that's how Mysterio would have to fight Spider-Man, right? Mysterio is one of those villains. If Spider-Man actually gets his hand on him, he just clocks him and he's out in like 2 seconds. So Mysterio's big thing is he has to create illusions to keep Spider-Man from getting to him. And that's just, dude, there's this dream sequence. I call it a dream sequence. Spider-Man was awake, so it wasn't a dream sequence. It was an illusion sequence, which totally felt like a nightmare sequence from Scarecrow or something. And Spider-Man's just tripping balls. You would swear Quentin Beck just gave Peter Parker some salvia, but it's not. It's just all holograms. But just if the brain believes, then it's real to you. There's Mysterio walking with a stupid mocap outfit, and the illusion never stopped. Even when you hear the bang, it's like, oh, Nick Fury got him. He got Mysterio. You're all right? Hey, who else knows? Great, I'm an illusion too. Oh shit, got him again. And again, at the end of the movie, it kept happening. It's like Quentin Beck got shot. Peter Parker's confronting him. He just like, you hear the BAM! And he actually grabs Quentin Beck's actual hand with the gun. And apparently he's dead? He's not dead. Come on, what? No. I would believe he was dead if the whole thing was like, well, he knows Peter Parker's identity and so he has to die. And so that's why he's dead. And that's what I thought. I was like, all right, yeah. Because if he's alive, he's just gonna blab to people who Peter Parker is, or who Spider-Man is rather. And then the end happens. And it just doesn't matter now. Quentin Beck, of course, doctored this footage because Master of Illusion, and his greatest illusion yet is him talking into a camera like, oh, Spider-Man's gonna kill me, help me, if I don't make it out of here, he's totally gonna kill me, and he's controlling the drones, he's doing all of this, which was actually pretty smart. Because when it was like the big monster's gonna go away and everyone's gonna see the drones, he was like, they will see what I want them to see. At that point, he was like, yeah, people need to see that this is all bullshit. It's fine because they're gonna see that Spider-Man was controlling the bullshit. Gonna give them the biggest villain of all. Though pretty sure Pepper Potts could trace who was using Edith at the time that big thing was going down. And you could say, yeah, it was this other person. Peter Parker gave it over to that other person. Quentin Beck's actually the dick. But it's not about what you can prove. It's about what people believe and what they want to believe. Never underestimate the power of a conspiracy theory. And that whole scenario just lends itself to a conspiracy theory. Rest assured, even if Spider-Man clears his name entirely, he will not be exonerated in the eyes of the people in the court of public opinion. If it plays out how real life would play out, Quentin Beck completely and severely fucked Peter Parker's world forever. Then Gyllenhaal's like, Spider-Man's real name is Peter Parker. Boom, here's a big picture of him. And that's that. Now people know. Which in the comic books that happened in Civil War, he was the first one to unmask himself. So I was like, took a few movies later, but it happened. Which is funny because for a lot of this movie, it was Peter Parker like, oh, I need to protect my identity. I should have seen that as a foreshadow for sure. But I just remember thinking like, do you need to? Who will it hurt, really? All of the Avengers have toy lines, costumes, ice cream. What, Peter? You don't want your own Ben & Jerry's flavor? Strawberry Spider Slider would be a pretty sweet ice cream sandwich to eat if they were all out of chocolate. All I'm saying is, dude, you can make money on this. That's what Tony Stark should. That's Tony Stark's greatest lesson to you, and you didn't see it. Then the next post-credit scene is Nick Fury and Agent How I Met Your Mother. They're Skrulls. They're not real. That was actually a rumor, like a fan rumor for a while. That's actually real. Nick Fury was actually Ben Mendelsohn's character. He's like, I need you to come back. I can't answer all these questions. Like, I don't know the answers to the questions. Nick Fury's on a beach, but not on a beach. He's like on a simulated beach on the ship. Basically a bunch of Captain Marvel stuff. I don't really remember that well. Then you gotta ask, like, how long has it been that way? Or was the Nick Fury we saw disappear at the end of Infinity War, was he actually a Skrull? Is it ever since Captain America Winter Soldier, when Nick Fury was officially declared dead, had his tombstone and everything, they said Path of the Righteous Man? It's a pretty sweet callback, or Easter egg. It's not really a callback. Easter egg. Point is, like, is it from there he was like, all right, beam me up, Scotty, I'm out of here. Have they been swapped ever since then? No, things to ponder. Point is, don't worry, I'm not gonna not talk about it. Holy fuck, dude, J. Jonah Jameson's back? Yeah, he's a little balder than usual. It doesn't have the flat top, has a normal mustache rather than his little Hitler mustache. But the point is, it's J. Jonah Jameson. That was like the thing that people in theaters were clapping and cheering, and you know that's why they were like, no cell phones in this one. You can know whatever about Quentin Beck, you can know whatever about Mysterio and his motivations, you can know whatever about Nick Fury being a Skrull, but if anyone leaks that J.K. Simmons is back as J. Jonah Jameson, the world's gonna fucking burn. I'm pretty sure that's the reason they took the cell phones. Because in the end, like I said, I dug this movie, but it's the second half of the movie. The first half of the movie, I'm like, all right, quirky teen romance, comedy, school movie. It's a high school movie. It's the second half of this movie, maybe the last 2/3 of this movie. It was such a good Spider-Man story, it made me forgive any of the pacing in the first half of the movie and left the movie really digging it. All right, so Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know. And again, if you liked this video, if you can give this video a like, I do appreciate it. It helps the video out, helps the channel out, helps me out, and I love you for that. So if you could do that, much appreciated. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.